What is up, guys? Welcome back to the next layer where we go deep with athletes and outliers who train, think, and live at the edge. This show is powered by Elos, the performance thermal brand built for cold starts and even harder finishes. Today's guest is a Division I soccer player, content creator, and mindset tactician, Marcello Mazzola. You like that one? Marcello Mazzola. His journey started at just 4 years old, growing up in the suburbs of PA. I'm in a Brazilian-Italian household where soccer wasn't just a sport, it was essentially a part of his blood and family currency. By 11, he was called up to the Philadelphia Union Academy, one of the MLS's most prestigious youth pipelines, where he spent the next 7 years sharpening his game against the nation's best and competing in the nation's best tournaments. Marcello's story isn't just about rising through the ranks on the soccer pitch, it's about grit in the face of setbacks. He got into social media after tearing his ACL a year or so ago, and that pivot sparked a new chapter where rehab met content and discipline off the field, and he kind of used social media to get into all that, and we'll definitely highlight that as we go through. But he's grown his Instagram to over 30,000 followers and his TikTok to over 60,000 followers. Since he was with Union Academy and made his pro debut at Union 2, he's trained with a bunch of international clubs across Brazil, Germany, and the Netherlands, and is now at Villanova University as a Division I student athlete. And so we're super duper excited for this episode. Marcello, how are we doing, man? I know I just saw on your Instagram that you were in Brazil. How was that trip? Seemed awesome.
I appreciate you having me on. Brazil was nuts. It was a great experience. You already said it. I'm part of my family lives over there, so it was nice seeing them. It was good and bad, only because I ate good, a little too good. I gained a couple extra lbs, but it was good. Good
What was
trip
the
overall.
What was the best meal, dude? What was the best meal?
If you're going to Brazil, you can't be like a vegan or vegetarian. You got to go to Brazil for the meat. Like the steak there, and oh my God, it's unbelievable. Filet, the picanha there. You get me talking. I could spend this whole podcast talking about food, but it was great.
Yeah, dude, no, I'm a foodie as well, so any trip I go on, I'm like instantly like, what, I kind of base it around the food, to be honest. I don't know if you're the same way, but I like base my trips around food. Yeah.
Every single day, it was like, I don't know if it's good to be this gluttonous as I am, but I was literally on Instagram looking on like different, like every day I had to hit a new spot. We went on like different ice cream spots, steak. It was great. I love it.
How long were you there for?
2 weeks total. I was in São Paulo for 3 days because my cousin goes to college there, so we were spending some time with him. And then I went to another city where my family lives called Ribeirão Preto, which is like 3 hours from São Paulo. And we were there for another like 8-9 days. So yeah, that's about awesome, 2 weeks total the whole time.
That's awesome, dude.
Yeah, it was great.
Cool, man.
Great little experience.
Yeah, awesome. Well, like I said, we're excited for this pod. I think that might have been the best intro I've ever given. Just
that was unbelievable.
What about the mind? You like the mindset tactician?
Oh, it was class.
That was, dude.
I was struggling to keep it together. I didn't want to ruin the intro and like start bursting out laughing, but it was class. It caught me off guard.
Yeah, man. I was up till 5 a.m. this morning writing that for this. So
that.
I hope it was yeah.
That was great, man.
But no, not to pat myself on the back. I did do a good job of introing, but I do want you to go through a little bit about your journey, and we'll kind of go, like I said, all the way back to like your roots, man, and kind of how like how you got into soccer, and then kind of your soccer journey, and then what led you to Villanova. That's we're really interested about that. So why don't we start there, and you kind of walk us through, your past with all that.
Yeah, I mean, I guess starting off my soccer journey to go with that. You mentioned it in the intro, Brazilian-Italian household. If I wasn't into soccer from an early age, it was not looking good for me in the Mazzola family. So glad I picked up soccer early on. I started playing when I was around 4 for a local club close to my house called Rose Tree. And it started off kind of just as something to keep me active. I was a hyper kid, and then as many athletes fall in love with their sport, soccer, it was it for me. And I kind of took off with it, playing, started traveling, and then that segued into the Union. From there, I around 11 years old, got scouted at a tournament, and they were actually, I think they built that first year of the Union. I think the first year was U12, but they did an experimental year where they kind of brought a couple kids up early. And I was fortunate to be one of those kids, to be on that U12 team. And I mean, my whole journey with the Union, I think it was total 7 years. So kind of playing, getting bumped up and down, playing with top name players, Paxton. I mean, I went to school with a lot of the big names like the Brendan Aronsons, Mark McKenzie's, and all of them. And just even didn't play with them. I was around literally all the big names through the union, even the Kevin Sullivan, the big one recently. So it's been great, man. Just being around top level athletes my whole life. Didn't really have much of a high school experience. I mean, that's something you sacrifice, I guess, to be at a club like the union. And a school like YC Academy, I don't know if you know, you probably know the school for the union where they have all the athletes.
Right.
So, yeah, just being in that environment, it was competitive, but at the end of the day, it paid off to where it led me all the way to Villanova, having trials overseas. Definitely not the normal experience or childhood as the average American kid, but I wouldn't trade it for the world.
Right.
Yeah.
And that's what I was going to say. I mean, for those who don't know, like the Union Academy is one of the top, it's probably, I would say, the top in the U.S. in terms of like a model like Europe, where they were the kind of pioneers of, you know, the school attached to the academy. So, Marcel, you guys would like train it in the mornings, right? And like and in the afternoons and lifts and all that kind of stuff. Like basically like a college / professional environment from the age of 12, essentially, right?
Yeah, it was nuts. I mean, hearing about YC Academy and the Philadelphia Union School, like in the beginning, it seems like a crazy commitment, and it was, because it is a really big commitment, but you kind of fall into the routine. Everyone asked me, like, what's your routine? When I was young, and they couldn't believe when I was said it, because we would wake up, I think like 7 in the morning, like normal time, then we would go, and we would have that block from like 7:30, 8 in the morning to like 10:30 of just training, and that would be our main team training, and then in the afternoon from like 10:30 to 3 o'clock would be our normal school day. And then after that, we'd have another block in the afternoon, either we would lift or train. So it's a lot. It sounds like a lot, and it was in the beginning, but once you get used to it, it's like it becomes lifestyle and it's fun. So going that much.
Right. Deeper question, because I mean, not many people from the age of, what you said, 11, right?
11 I was in it. The school I started when I was 12. I think it's 7th grade. I don't know how old I was in 7th grade. But
Right, and not many people in this country, like regardless of the sport that they're into, have that experience of essentially being in a professional environment in their discipline, in their sport, from the age of 12. And we talked, like, this is common in Europe, and we'll get into that, but like it is not common in the United States. So having that untraditional childhood, how did that shape you, do you think? And like, obviously you have to be extremely passionate for the game at that age to do something like that and give up the dances and all the stuff that you did give up in high school and middle school. How do you think that shaped you, that experience?
I think definitely the word that initially pops into my mind, not to be like cliche or anything, but like discipline, honestly, because it's to have that same routine day in, day out. When you feel like doing it and we don't feel like doing it at such a young age, it's like it instills that, at least for me, it made me, or I should say this better, it became part of my personality and DNA, just at such an early age, to where now I feel like when I'm older and doing things with social media and other ventures, I guess, it helps me stay on track and be more committed to literally everything in my life. So it's been really, really great, honestly, and I'm blessed and fortunate to have been through that academy at a young age.
It's a powerful tool, man.
Man.
That's why any job post-soccer loves to see student athlete or athlete attached, because these intangible traits that come with it, the hard work, the discipline, the consistency, and especially for someone like you, and we'll get into all the social media stuff, like doing it now, like while you're in college, and you know the opportunity that content creation has created for a lot of people, and especially you. Like, we'll definitely get into that, but yeah, it's definitely awesome, man. And then real quick on the soccer side too, like, have to ask about your experience in Brazil, Germany, and Netherlands, like being I don't know how old you were when you were doing these trials. Definitely want to hear about, like, because they're all so different soccer cultures. Like, I'm just thinking of like the Brazilian flair versus like German defending. Like the different, dude. So talk a little bit, like, what's your favorite memory or challenge from any of these trials that you went on, and also let the audience know like where you trialed at. We'll do at each of these places.
So I mean, in the beginning, start off like being Brazilian. Like I was in Brazil. Before COVID, we went to Brazil every single year to visit family, and so I would play there like a month out of the year, just at like local clubs, nothing really serious. And then I came back, went through my whole career with the Union, and then eventually, because of connections we had in the Union with like fellow Brazilians, I got a trial lined up with Palmeiras at, I think it was 14 years old, 14 or 15, 14 years old. And so Palmeiras was the first big one. It's a huge name. I was nervous as any 14-year-old could be. And then I found out that I was trialing with the 16s, I think. So it was 2 years up. I got a good recommendation. So I was, then, I was like, I couldn't believe it. I was very nervous, say the least. And then I first day, I'll never forget, you had to take a bus to get to the training facilities. So the bus picked the boys up at the club stadium, which is in Center City, São Paulo.
Okay.
So we would all meet at the stadium. The bus would pick us up and drive us to the training facilities. So we got to the training facility the first day. They gave you a bucket of clothes, put everything on. I'm shaking, nervous, and then I get out into the first day. And it was, for me, that kind of pressure and being in that kind of environment, different than the United States, was the first time. So first day I played terrible. I think this one kid megged me. I kid you not. We had a little 5v5 game. Megged me like 3 times. I was like, all right, this can't be for me. Like I thought I was not to the level. It was really bad. I'll never forget that. But towards the end, like of the trial, I calmed down, showed them what I could do, played well, and eventually I got, actually, believe it or not, offered to stay. But it just, for me, I was 14 years old. It's like, to move to Brazil. My family does not living in São Paulo, so I didn't have any family to live there, so which means 14-year-old me would have to live there by myself or with a residency. Like, it wasn't feasible at the time for me to move over there, which is why I came back and started playing with the Union, and eventually that opened up doors for me in terms of other trials overseas, more this time in Europe. And I hit one trip and I did 2 trials. The first one was in the Netherlands with Eredivisie Club Utrecht. And then the other one after that was a week later in Germany with Bundesliga club Frankfurt, which was good. Like you said, the playing styles were definitely different from Brazil. The kids were both in the Netherlands, I would say, is a little bit more technical. In terms of like the footwork and everything was better than Germany. Germany was a lot of brutes, strong kids. More of, I would say, like an MLS, like next level MLS, where it's more like athletic, strong, but also like they could play too. So it was good. The playing styles were definitely different from all of them.
What age was that at?
These 2 trials, I did it end of my junior year in high school. So I would say 16, 17, roughly around there.
Okay.
So,
okay.
Yeah,
and then how shortly after or before was the professional debut for Union 2? Because that's pretty cool, man, too.
Yeah, the pro debut U2 was my senior year. I got in a friendly. My official MLS Next pro debut was my senior year, but after those trials, I came back and I got like my I would say fake debut in a friendly with Union 2, and that was really good. I think I came in like 15 minutes. I scored, which is insane. That I'll never forget. That was like one of the core memories I have in soccer. So I like to say it's like my fake debut goal with the pro team.
I love it, man.
But yeah, my official one came in my senior year, which was like 5 minutes, but still, I like to say I still say I got on a pro field for a couple minutes.
You did. That definitely counts, and no one will take that away from you ever, dude.
I'll take it.
But no, and I can imagine too, like just myself. Obviously, I went to Villanova too, audience. So that's kind of where Marcello and I meet. But before we get into that, like, well, I guess my question is, because I know even for me, like the decision of going to college, it was right around that time, as you said, you were part of one of Union's like first classes of like being there from the beginning, of like fostering you to, because really like the Union model is to go from academy straight to the professional ranks, kind of taking out college. And I would say Union's one of like the pioneers in that. So I'm assuming for you, the decision to play college soccer was extremely hard. I know it was hard for me, and I can imagine potentially the pressure that you were receiving to not go to college. So speak a little bit about that and how you ended up at Villanova.
Yeah, I mean, I would say as a kid, and you just mentioned it yourself, it's like coming up to the Philadelphia Union the whole time, it's like you, as an athlete, as a soccer player, you always have this dream of like wanting to go pro. As a kid, not really knowing what college was and the opportunities it would give me to develop myself as a player in person and just every facet of life, I thought that going to college and not making it pro was like, oh damn, you failed. Like that's plan B. Like it's how I viewed it. And honestly, it's like it wasn't really until, I wouldn't even say my senior year, I would say it took me my freshman year of actually getting into Villanova to see how college soccer was, how college was, and I guess the life it gave me. Like for me, Villanova, I'm a local guy. I'm from PA. To live, first off, to play soccer, great. To get an education from a school like Villanova, which is top in the country, can't beat it. And then I'm 15 minutes down the road from my house. My parents could come to see every one of my games. I could still grow closer to my family. It's like, you can't beat it. And I've talked to so many of the pros, or not, I wouldn't say ex-pros. Yeah, actually, I take that back. Ex-pros that have been through the Union, some current pros that have passed through the union, and they say like if they had to go back, some of them would have chose college over that pro contract just because of the lifestyle of the professional game. Is just its market is the dream, I guess, and it is for a lot of kids, and even for me, it would be great to play pro now, but it's so much. People don't realize that the travel, living away from home, getting tossed between coaches that don't like you, because at the end of the day, then when you're playing pro, you're getting paid for it. So it's not like they have to be friendly. It's not like youth soccer, like the parents are involved with it. It's completely different. And I had a buddy of mine. We became very close family friends. He used to play for the Union. I don't know if you ever heard of him. His name's El Sino.
I don't think I have, no.
So he played at the Union. He played in the Champions League with Shakhtar Donetsk and later in his career. So I think
I know this name, yeah.
Yeah, so if you look him up, you probably recognize his face. But I remember we were one day sitting at the beach. I'll never forget this. He told me, he was like, professional soccer is one moment of glory for like 10 moments of struggle, I guess. Yeah. It's like that one moment of like you score in a stadium, everyone goes nuts, and that's what people see as a dream, and it's great. But then you get in the locker room, he said, and it's like the guy next to you is mad at you, you didn't pass him the ball, the coach comes in screaming, didn't do your job here. It's a stressful life, and I guess the college route is not as bad as people make it out to be or have that preconception, I guess.
Yeah, dude.
To go on a tangent, my bad.
No, you're all good, dude, because it's a deep thing, and it's a real, like, a tough decision for a 17-year-old, 16-year-old to make. You know, I wasn't directly linked there, but like anyone that played soccer at our level, like always has the dream of playing pro, as you're saying, right? And that's like, I can imagine that type of decision for you being in it, you know, in that program like Philadelphia Union, and how hard that decision must have been, because everyone's dream is to play pro if you're at that level of playing Division I soccer, right? Like everyone's dream at some point has been, and it comes back to passion for the game, right? Like you have so much passion for the game. We talked about discipline earlier, like everything that it teaches you and all the lessons that you learn with the game, you think that like there's nothing outside of it at times. So that's actually why, you know, your story is really cool, man, is because you were able to balance multiple passions. And what we did want to get into was obviously the social media side, which I do want to hear because you have a very unique story about how you got into social media. But how did this passion for social media start?
With my ACL tear, to answer it very short, I tore my ACL and I was out for the summer. I couldn't train, couldn't run, couldn't do anything but kind of lift. And I needed, honestly, for me, social media, to be quite honest, I never really wanted, or actually I shouldn't say that. I never wanted to blow up. I wanted to, it started as something for me to keep me accountable. Like I was making day in the lives to be just like, okay, you have to stretch. So you could stretch and put it in the video to like kind of like a checklist type of a thing.
Right.
And then I just kept making them every day, and then I was like, all right, like maybe I could kind of go somewhere with this, and then it kind of one thing led to another, and I guess here I am today.
Yeah, dude. I mean, it's crazy because it can, like in this world, it could kind of happen overnight too, and it feels like
really.
Did it kind of happen overnight for you? Is that kind of how you would describe it?
For me, honestly, no. I have a lot of people reach out and ask me like, oh, dude, like how do I blow up on TikTok? How do I go crazy on social media? And for me, it was like a consistency thing. Like I really never had a video that would like blew up, and then it took me from like 1,000 followers to like 50,000 followers over. Like that didn't happen for me. For me, it was like consistently posting over, I don't know what I am, like 11 months now. To like the growth has been like gradual, like this. It's been up, but it's been I don't want to say slow, because I would say a year from now starting, I'm doing pretty good, but it wasn't like linear and then just a pop up. Like that didn't happen for me. It was just a consistency thing.
Right, and that's a good lesson for life too. Consistency in anything. If you want to start something, doing it. What is the saying? It's like if you do something for like 2 or 3 months straight, it becomes a habit or something like that. I forget what the saying is, but
I know what you're trying to say.
But yeah, so if anyone has seen your content, and for those who don't know you, they would also find that faith is very important to you as well. And so I have to ask as well, was your journey with your faith kind of linked to the same period of your ACL injury, or is this something that has always been important to you and that you've just included in your content because it's important to you?
Yeah, I mean, for me, my faith, I've always been a religious kid, and God has always been a part of my life. Growing up, I feel like I got closer to God around freshman year of high school. Like I always grew up like going to church on Sunday with my family, but I never really kind of dove into it. It was more kind of just something I had to do. And then freshman, sophomore year of high school is when I really started to get close to God. And I was close, but I wasn't as close as I am now. And I feel like my ACL tear took my faith to the next level in terms of like, I really had to lean on him, because it was the first time I was kind of really like, it was a big injury. I was alone. I was faithful, but I wasn't living like how God would want me to live.
Right.
To keep it PGA. Like I didn't
Yeah.
I didn't go. I was kind of going out on weekends in freshman year of high school or freshman year of college, and I wasn't being true to myself. And I guess my ACL tear kind of brought me down to earth and woke me up a little bit. It was kind of a wake up call. My lifestyle I was living wasn't who I was as a person. I was trying to be someone I wasn't, and I guess that also tied into the faith. Now it was more of a thing. It took it to the next level because now it's like I'm living what I'm preaching and what I'm reading in the Bible every day. And so the ACL tear just kind of took it to the next level. So
yeah, man, it's powerful what adversity can do in life. It's
crazy,
kind of
man.
it's a crazy thing that I'm hearing just from your story, man, of like how you can get to like when something like an ACL tear happens, you can get into a bubble and like go and like say, whoa, woo is me and really be negative all day. Or 100%. You can take it into a positive, which is really inspiring for what you did and turned it into what it is now. When you're there and like everyone, like I also saw another quote recently. It's like, well, if you're looking in hindsight, great. Like, you know, you can always see the path and like see that like, oh man, that was a good decision. But like when you're sitting there and you get into this you have a terrible injury, you can't see anything but like, you know, like what's ahead, which you know is going to be a terrible recovery process, right? And so like, you know, looking back, it'd be like, man, like look what I did with it. But it's really like, as you said, going back to like the discipline and the everyday, just like consistency of what you were doing during a tough time in your life and bringing faith as you know, elevating your faith at the same time. That's very inspiring. And so one of the questions I did have too was just like time management, man, like with all of these things you got going on with soccer and the schedule that's required for that with, you know, as you said, like Villanova's a top university in the schooling side, and then also you editing and being consistent with your content on social media. How do you balance all of that? Like what is like, and I don't have to ask you what your day in your life looks like because you show the crowd, but like just generally broad, man, like how do you balance all of that in your mind and how do you make sure that you don't let anything lack in your life?
Yeah, I mean, the time management, I would say it comes down to, put it in the simplest I could put it, is I would say routine. Like getting into college freshman, you kind of don't know what's going on and what's what. But once you kind of find a groove and find a routine, then it just kind of becomes natural to balance everything. Because when you're thinking about it, like, oh, I got to edit, I got to go to soccer practice, I got to go to class, then I got to do homework, and then I got to eat correctly and then balance. It's like it sounds like so much, and it is a lot. But once you get a routine and you establish what thing is supposed to be done at what time, and you do the things, it becomes kind of habitual.
Right.
But I'll tell you one thing though, you probably know from being a student athlete, you did it too. It's like the procrastination. If you want to get the most out of your time in college, if you procrastinate, man, you're going to get behind on so much. I guess eliminating the procrastination and sticking to a routine was, for me, how I do it.
Yeah, if you want to know time management, Marcello texted me at like 7 p.m. last night and said, "How long is this going to last? Because I need to plan my day." That's when you know you got it down pat, that you're in a routine and you know what's important to you. And what's also big, man, is like, you know, what people don't see, like right on the surface, it's like soccer and school and social media, but it's also like, how do you spend time with like your family and your friends? And like, you have to build all of these things into your life that you care about, right? Like, and it always comes back to, like, as you said, the routine and the discipline to be able to manage all that, man. That's why your story is really cool. Why I think, you know, even at a young age, you have a lot to teach others, which is why I think it's cool. We'll link kind of all of Marcello's stuff. I know you're doing some like training sessions and stuff via your website, and so we'll make sure to promote that. And he's just a really awesome dude. So make sure you check his stuff out. But yeah, one other thing, dude, don't get in trouble with any of these answers. But you know, I am interviewing a Division I college athlete, and there was some big news, and especially for you with your personal brand and content side that came out from the NCAA on Friday, like in terms of like in regarding NIL. And I'm sure you've heard like rumblings of all this stuff happening, but I think it was fully approved in terms of like the new roster caps and like 20.5 million salary cap for each school and stuff. And then so like that was like fully like went through all the courts, and like there's also back payment to all the athletes, aka me, that missed out on the NIL opportunities.
Right.
But no, man. So like, what is your opinion on like kind of the changing landscape of, you know, Division I sports? And I know soccer is a little bit different than obviously like football and basketball. But like, what's your stance on all this? And obviously for you having a real personal brand and maybe seeing some of these opportunities come to fruition, what is your kind of stance on everything that's going on?
Yeah, I mean, honestly, I got to look more into the news. I've been kind of out of it with everything that's been happening. But to answer plainly, I mean, for me, the NIL stuff and building a social media, I'm a big fan of it. I think I really don't have a particular stance of like on the college directly paying the players to be there.
Right.
Especially like something like soccer, it's like not one of the bigger college sports where it's like it's not bringing in as much revenue as like Villanova's basketball program, for example.
Right.
So I don't know how I feel about that, but I feel like in terms of like using your personal image and platform of being a Division I player to get NIL deals and stuff like that, it's like for me, I'm all game for it, and I'm glad that it's the how do you say it, restrictions with that are loosening up. So I mean,
Yeah.
can I ask you, when you were at Nova, was it as rigid, I guess, in terms of like social media and NIL deals like that, or was it also pretty loose with personal brand stuff?
It was getting, by my senior year, it was getting more loose, but
Yeah.
I would say even during my senior year, it was pretty restrictive in terms of like you had to go through a couple hoops to get something approved. Like I know me and my buddy, this is kind of like I don't even know if I want to bring this up, but because of how bad. But the reason you might think I'm okay at a podcast is because me and my buddy did one while we were at Villanova through like an NIL deal.
And something probably happened with that.
So they kind of like helped, but like I know the process because we went through it to get the podcast approved to like promote our image and likeness and all that kind of stuff. And it was kind of not a grueling process, but you had to go through some hoops. I'm sure it's way more lenient now. But yeah, no, I think what you were speaking about, dude, like the personal brand side, it's an extremely powerful thing, and like you almost need it nowadays as we're entering, as we're in the year of 2025. Your personal brand's kind of everything. And so yeah, I know one thing that you might have an opinion on, and I'm sure you've heard about this, the soccer season, like how they're pushing to, like the NCAA is trying to push it to make it a year-round season rather than just a fall season.
Oh yeah, that I did hear about.
What's your stance on that?
For me, I think if it was like a year-round, or at least like in the school year, like that big frame, and then I guess maybe we get summers off, like I would personally love it. And I don't know about, I don't want to speak for other college soccer players, but the college game is just like the regular season. It's like you're playing 2 to 3 games a week, and it's like you wonder why college athletes, there's so many ACL tears, there's so many injuries. It's because it's like, I guess when you're getting older, it's still like 20, like early 20s is young, I guess, but like to handle that kind of stress and that high level of a game that often, it's like the injury, it's like bound to happen. So if it was like a 1 game a week and you could kind of stretch it out and manage the load properly, oh my God, it would be a dream for me and my body and my joints. So
yeah, for sure, man, for sure. Yeah, I would have loved that too. I would have loved that too. You don't have to squeeze everything in, man.
I know. It feels like
you guys are spoiled kids, man. You're getting all the benefits that I missed. So.
We get the new facilities. They replace the turf. I know.
Yeah.
Good stuff.
But you guys deserve it. You guys deserve it. So.
I appreciate it.
But no, man. Yeah, that's good. I know we're kind of coming up on our time, so I just have some, before we close it out, I have some quick rapid fire questions for you. See if we can get some answers. So and you might have a cool answer to this. What's the favorite stadium you've ever played in? That could be college, trials, or Union 2 or anything like that.
Favorite stadium was debut for Union 2, like the real one, in Columbus. Columbus Crew, like their new stadium they just built. I don't know what the name of it is, but it was ridiculous.
Yeah. That's sick. Do you have any pregame rituals you'd like to share? Music or any weird ones, like tying the left shoe first or anything like that?
Pregame rituals, watching Neymar TikTok edits just gets me in the mood. Like feeling loose. Like that's it. That's the go-to for this past
Tapping into the roots, bro. Tapping into the roots.
That's it, man.
Yeah. I mean, that could be a whole other podcast about his story, man. I wish he can stay healthy, but yeah.
Oh, man, I do too. I do too.
And the one question that we ask every one of our guests, which is very broad question, deep hitting question usually. What's your next layer? So that could mean, obviously the purpose of the podcast is your next layer from like a gear perspective and all that kind of stuff. But really the deeper point of it is, physically, mentally, or anything that's going on in your life. What is that next layer for you, and how would you define it?
Yeah, I mean, next layer for me, I would say, if I'm answering as a person, like what is my next layer, I would feel like continue, the big thing for me, the biggest thing in my life, we talked about it briefly here, is faith. Continue to grow with faith. I'm a big family guy. Continue to grow the relationships with my family. And honestly, just continue in the trajectory I'm at now with my social media, my branding, building new relationships, and just kind of personally develop and continue on the path I'm at, and to continue to stack days and each day get better and better. So to answer the broad question pretty quickly, I would say that's my snapshot.
I love it, dude. I love it, man. And you're well on your way. You're well on your way. So keep all the good habits you've instilled. But yeah, no, I appreciate you hopping on, Marcello. It was a really awesome conversation. I'm glad our audience got to know you. And again, guys, be sure to follow Marcello on all his socials. We will be sure to link that in the notes on this episode. And then on our end, guys, you can find us at elosthermal.com, and all of our socials are at elosthermal. As always, thanks everyone for tuning into The Next Layer, where passion meets performance. Until next time, stay warm, stay sharp, and push limits. Thanks, guys. Thanks, Marcello.
Oh, I appreciate you, Anthony.